Okay, so this is part two to my little saga that's been going on for the past 5 years, where I've been being gang stalked and accosted here in Barcelona, right? Which it would be like, for some people, like, I don't know, maybe they might think that I'm just paranoid, but the people who know me and know the situation, a lot of people know, and a lot of people know even more details than I do about who's doing it and the rank of the people who are doing it, you know what I mean? The notoriety of the people who are doing it, because obviously a lot of people get scared and all of this. I still don't know exactly who's doing it, but I know that whomever is doing it is full of shit, because they obviously, if supposedly can track everything I do and know everything about me, definitely know every single movement I make. So I'm the type of person that usually by 11 I'm in my bed. I'm the type of person, I just go to work and come home and I'm usually with my kids. And not even this is something that it feels like is being attacked, right? So, I can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna live secluded, because at the same time, this is also what I feel they want. The more secluded you are, the more isolated you are, it makes it even easier for them to make even more rumors about you and slander you even more. And then there's no one who really knows you per se that well who can say like, no, that's not true. No, that's how lies build. That's how they even started creating lies and claiming that I was of a certain race that I wasn't. All of these kind of things, just for information. I work in education. I'm a teacher. So I don't have to resort to getting involved in taking things that don't belong to me, in following around degenerates to see what their every move is. Like, it's the last thing that would be on my mind. Out of all the things in this world that I would focus my energy on, would be the last thing is to be focused on people who are not going anywhere in life and have nothing else better to do except do these kind of things to earn their money, right? Let's leave it at that. A lot of people today have no integrity, and just because they have no integrity, they feel that maybe everyone else is just like them. And I, fortunately, I'm not this kind of person. I never grew up like that, okay? And I know the severity of what the kind of things that they're accusing me of, and I wouldn't do something like that to put myself or my children at risk either. That's number one. Number two, the idea that they've taken my face. I don't know where the hell or how they're spreading this rumor, this slander about me, but it's all over Barcelona, especially among certain demographics, okay? And like, to take a woman's picture and ruin my reputation in that way, like, there's no coming back from that. God is great, God is all powerful, and I really, like I said, I put my trust in him that at the end of the day, all lies will be exposed, and all the people who do these things or have been doing these things will fall in their own traps. Like, eventually it's gonna catch up. You know what I mean? And I wrote some of this down because it's a lot of stuff and I don't want to get off track, okay? But basically that's the idea, that people at the end of the day, they're gonna believe what they want to believe. It's a rumor that's been going around now 5 years. Some people might have it like now ingrained that it has to be true, and it's not true, just in case you want to know. But some people are going to believe whatever they want to believe. That's valid. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's a situation where at this point, I'm not going to look like the crazy person, because in the last instances where we had to move and we had to get help financially from social services and other people to help us move, my kids had to be separated from me for an entire month, living with their godmother until I could get a new apartment, like, which is where I live now, which I'm paying a very very affordable price for me, and in supposedly like a safer neighborhood, to have to again be in this situation. And I'm not going to upset my kids' life every other year so that they can laugh and mock me and have me as the butt of the jokes, or even worse, make it look like I'm nuts, because at the end of the day, no one's actually touched me. It's all been so far intimidation, so that then later they'll say like something's wrong with me and they can actually like remove my kids or something like this. So I personally just feel like it has to come to a head, And at this point, like, it's just about me, you know, just trying to prove what I'm saying more than anything. But I'm not gonna have this situation where I'm upsetting my kid's life. So that's why I mean, like, when people try to be phony and be like, oh, but no, but the kids, oh, the poor, they're lying, they're full of crap, because anything that they've done to me is also an attack on my kids, because it's also the reputation of my kids for the future. You know what I mean? I gave the example how one day I went to buy a Durham, even here in Barcelona, in Arco de Triunfo, and I guess they recognized me and they try to, like, they spat inside of the Durham, but I saw them. So it's like, you know, people can harm my kids, harm me for lies and slander that are not true. So when is it going to end? Does something really have to happen to me for it to be credible that this is happening? Because, you know, usually the police, they don't really do anything. Or I don't know, or it's more profitable for them to just kind of keep me like hassled and do this every year, and then just frame me and accuse me and make it look like, oh, you see, they didn't touch her because she probably is a snitch, or she probably is an informant. You know what I mean? I don't know what the exact goal is, but like at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very exhausted remaining silent and not saying anything. And like I said, I, like, before at least, like, knew the individuals that started the rumor, and a lot of people knew the individuals that started the rumor, so that I know. And can you imagine that all of this started because of some, you know, pothead who was outside of my first apartment, who just said, yeah, maybe it's her who is the one who's, you know, I don't know. It just started like something like this, like a malicious rumor. And these people obviously use it to their benefit to continue. Maybe they didn't think it was going to blow up the way it did, you know, the next 5 years. But I'm just so tired of it. I'm just so tired of it. There's so many ways, like I said, to unalive someone psychologically, emotionally, character assassination, like what they're doing everywhere you go. You know what I mean? You can't do the most mundane things, like just sit in a bench in front of a bar, because people will automatically think that you're sitting there again, like, you know, paying attention. And it's like you don't even know what goes on. Like I already said it in the previous videos that I made, I don't sit or go to places that I don't know what goes on there. I don't meet with people in certain neighborhoods where I know that there is a majority of a predominant demographic that I know is spreading the rumor. You know what I mean? And like I said, I don't like to be like, I don't like to racially profile anybody, because there are good and bad people in every race. And in this situation, everybody from many different demographics and races have been involved in doing it, because the only thing that they have in common is that they're all degenerates, and for like a buck that they would be willing to do it. Fortunately, in the area that I live, there's a better balance, that you have more, you know, you have people that have a little bit more integrity. And, you know, I do know some of the people, so it's not as severe, that kind of accosment like it was when I lived in the Raval, which is a socioeconomic community that's very low, so you have a lot of people that are willing to do these things, you know what I mean? But there's still that kind of sensation that, like, you're hearing people purposefully trying to, like, say, oh, are they gonna unalive her? They're gonna unalive her? Oh, they haven't done it yet? Like, you know, coming out in the hallway of your building so that you can hear them say it, you know what I mean? And like I said, paid to do so. And just repeating it every single day, similar to what they did where I was working when I was, as I said in the video, like when I was working as a receptionist, they were outside repeating it, like speaking this into the existence, in the energy, in the air, and all of this, you know what I mean? Making you anxious, making you sick, and that's like the goal. Prayer has helped me a lot. I've been praying at 3 a.m. I've been fasting, and at the end of the day, it'll be whatever God wants it to be, but I can't live in fear, and I'm not going to. For my children's sake and for mine.